I was in a deep, deep depression in this house while the splits were happening, while the divorces were happening.
Kody Brown and Robyn Brown have unexpectedly found themselves at the center of a story that has captivated the audience of Sister Wives in Season 20, revealing a daughter named Truly, a name rarely mentioned over nearly 2 decades, now spoken with urgency and a sense of newfound responsibility. The timing of this revelation is striking, coinciding almost too perfectly with the family's growing financial and legal challenges, raising questions about the authenticity of this sudden paternal focus. As the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that the attention given to Truly, including the allocation of a dedicated room in Kody and Robyn's extensive real estate portfolio, may reflect strategic maneuvering rather than genuine emotional devotion. This sudden awakening to fatherhood appears to align conveniently with a looming financial reckoning, as years of emotional absenteeism from Kody Brown intersect with the practical realities of child support and legal accountability, suggesting a complex mixture of duty, image management, and financial calculation. Over the years, Kody's approach to parenting has been characterized by notable absence, leaving children to navigate their formative years largely without his guidance. The appearance of concern now, while ostensibly a response to Truly's needs, arrives against a backdrop of courtroom strategy and asset management. Robyn's willingness to accommodate Truly under her roof, if it can even be called accommodation, seems performative, her language betraying a clear distinction between her own children and the rest of the family. This linguistic divide underscores a deeper pattern of selective empathy, as the comfort of Truly is subordinated to financial considerations and household priorities, reflecting a household structure where material presentation and legal considerations intersect with familial interaction in a highly calculated way. The nightly presence of Truly in the home, while symbolically representing paternal care, is also entwined with a financial framework that may redirect obligations away from child support toward domestic management and personal collection. Analyzing their real estate choices, it becomes evident that property transactions have been less about creating a stable family environment and more about safeguarding assets. From prior purchases and sales to the recent acquisition of a $2.1 million property through a trust, these moves illustrate a deliberate alignment of home ownership with legal and financial strategy. 2 weeks after finalizing this purchase, public criticism surfaced, labeling Kody as a deadbeat parent, a narrative that underscores the contrast between media portrayal and private motivations. This sequence of events demonstrates a calculated interplay of appearance, timing, and legal positioning, where familial gestures and property investments are interwoven in ways that prioritize fiscal advantage and personal comfort over authentic engagement with children. The implication is clear. The visible concern for Truly serves a dual purpose, masking strategic financial adjustments, while maintaining a public image of attentive fatherhood. In practice, Truly's interactions with the Brown household reveal the limits of this performative concern. When visiting, she was directed to a room already designated for another family member, highlighting the incongruence between the home's presentation and the actual accommodation of a child's presence. The reality of the situation is further underscored by her evident happiness within Christine Brown's household, where she is removed from performative gestures and the underlying tension that defines Kody and Robyn's family dynamics. The contrast highlights the emotional gap between superficial engagement and the depth of genuine familial bonds, illustrating how children often anchor themselves to the parent who provides consistent attention, care, and emotional security. This distinction is critical in understanding the broader narrative, as it illuminates the ways in which public perception, financial consideration, and emotional reality intersect, producing outcomes that are complex and sometimes counterintuitive. Kody and Robyn's narrative in Season 20 exemplifies a tension between image and substance, where carefully curated appearances conflict with lived experience. The media portrayal of renewed paternal engagement and domestic accommodation masks the underlying structural inequities and selective prioritization that define their household. Robyn's repeated reference to your kids, rather than our kids, reveals a linguistic boundary that translates directly into household dynamics, where access, affection, and authority are distributed selectively. reinforcing hierarchies that favor her biological children over others in the blended family. This dynamic is further illustrated by mundane but telling examples, such as refrigerator rules and spatial arrangements that assign privilege and restriction along lines of perceived loyalty and propriety, transforming everyday domestic interactions into markers of control, hierarchy, and selective attention. Beyond the immediate household, the broader Brown family dynamic reveals patterns of long-standing neglect and emotional distance that compound the effects of these selective engagements. Adult children of Kody Brown, despite enduring emotional neglect, demonstrate remarkable restraint, refraining from public condemnation and instead navigating their relationships with grace and patience. This response highlights a critical aspect of familial resilience: the ability of children to maintain composure, empathy, and moral integrity even in the face of inequitable treatment. Their conduct underscores an important lesson for audiences observing the series. Resilience, empathy, and emotional intelligence are cultivated through experience and are not contingent upon the behavior of adults, offering a counterpoint to the performative and strategic interactions that dominate Kody and Robyn's household. The juxtaposition of Kody and Robyn's selective engagement with the consistent nurturing exhibited by other family members, notably Christine Brown, provides a lens through which the audience can evaluate the impact of parental presence, attention, and authentic concern. Christine's household demonstrates how structured, consistent, and emotionally responsive parenting fosters an environment where children can experience security and joy, even amidst broader familial complexities. The contrast with Kody and Robyn's home underscores the broader educational takeaway. Parenting is measured less by gestures or material provisions than by consistent emotional engagement, a lesson that resonates beyond the immediate context of reality television and into broader discussions of family dynamics, child development, and the ethical responsibilities of caregiving. The strategic positioning of property and parental roles within Kody and Robyn's household also invites reflection on the ways in which legal frameworks, media exposure, and personal ambition intersect to shape family life. The careful orchestration of real estate holdings, coupled with selective engagement with children, demonstrates a complex interplay of economic advantage, image management, and emotional control. This intersection challenges viewers to consider the ethical dimensions of parenting when intertwined with financial strategy and public perception, raising questions about how children are affected when adult priorities emphasize appearance and asset protection over relational depth and authenticity. The educational implications are significant, prompting viewers to consider how cultural narratives, media portrayals, and familial strategy can influence child well-being, emotional security, and the development of trust and attachment. As the narrative of Truly and the Brown household unfolds, the emotional consequences for the children are evident. The selective attention, linguistic distinctions, and spatial arrangements all serve to codify a hierarchy of value and belonging that shapes the lived experience of the children within the home. These patterns illustrate the tangible effects of prioritizing performance over presence, strategy over spontaneity, and legal positioning over relational integrity. Observers can witness the ways in which these household decisions ripple through the family structure, producing emotional consequences that extend far beyond the immediate moment, underscoring the importance of consistency, authenticity, and empathy in familial relationships. Ultimately, the story of Kody Brown and Robyn Brown in Season 20 serves as a complex case study in the intersection of image, strategy, and familial responsibility. It offers viewers insight into the ways in which selective engagement, performative concern, and strategic resource management can simultaneously serve legal, financial, and emotional ends, while also highlighting the limits of such approaches in fostering genuine connection. The narrative demonstrates that while appearances can be managed and assets strategically positioned, the underlying emotional realities of family life are more resistant to manipulation. Children respond to authenticity, consistency, and care, and the absence of these qualities produces consequences that are visible, measurable, and emotionally resonant. This unfolding story also carries broader societal and moral lessons, It prompts reflection on how parenting, financial planning, and public image intersect in contemporary life, especially under the scrutiny of media exposure. Audiences are encouraged to consider the ethical dimensions of caregiving, the responsibilities inherent in parental roles, and the ways in which emotional labor is distributed within families. The Brown family's experiences illuminate how selective engagement and performative gestures can erode trust, produce emotional distance, and create complex patterns of attachment and loyalty. These lessons extend beyond the screen, offering viewers insights into family dynamics, the nature of responsibility, and the enduring importance of authentic presence in nurturing relationships. As this season progresses, it becomes increasingly clear that the story is not simply about property, court filings, or television narratives. It is about the lived experiences of children navigating adult priorities, about the consequences of selective attention, and about the deep emotional currents that underlie every household decision. Cody and Robyn's choices, from real estate to parenting language, reveal a tension between image and substance, strategy and care, that resonates as a cautionary tale for audiences interested in understanding the complexity of modern family life. Robyn Brown and Cody Brown have become the center of a complex narrative that has unfolded over the latest season of Sister Wives, bringing to light dynamics that are both intricate and revealing. The revelation of Truly as their daughter has sparked widespread discussion, not simply because of the surprise surrounding her identity, but due to the underlying patterns it exposes about attention, affection, and strategy within the family. Robyn's statement that there would be adequate space for their children is telling, reflecting less an immediate emotional prioritization and more an arrangement aligned with economic and legal considerations. The room designated for Truly, ostensibly to accommodate her comfort and security, also functions as a performative space, a carefully maintained facade that safeguards appearances while simultaneously aligning with strategic interests within the household. This interplay between the emotional and the practical underscores a recurring theme within the Brown family, where gestures of care are often intertwined with financial and legal calculations, creating a layered narrative that challenges viewers to discern the difference between genuine affection and strategic convenience. Adding another dimension to this evolving story is Mykelti Brown-Padron's recent move to North Carolina, an event that has intensified both public curiosity and the family's internal dynamics. Observers are divided, with some interpreting the relocation as a bid for attention, while others perceive it as a courageous step toward independence, personal autonomy, and the establishment of a life grounded in her own priorities. The logistical complexity of moving with young children is substantial, but from Mykelti's perspective, the decision is practical and rational, encompassing considerations of marital stability, child welfare, and her own mental and emotional well-being. Her move also highlights the ripple effect of individual choices within a family network, illustrating how adult children in polygamous households navigate autonomy while still remaining emotionally tethered to the broader family structure. This decision underscores an essential lesson about family dynamics. Personal growth, even when it diverges from familial expectations, is a crucial component of long-term emotional resilience and stability. Christine Brown's response to these shifts offers another layer of insight into the family's ongoing narrative. Her long-standing desire to keep her children clustered in Utah reflects a natural inclination to maintain close familial bonds and provide a sense of continuity and security. Watching her children pursue their own paths, moving to other states and creating new lives, inevitably brings a measure of emotional discomfort, a tension that is both relatable and poignant. Even as she begins to build a new chapter of life in North Carolina, Christine remains tethered to the gravitational center of her children's choices and trajectories. Her experience serves as a reminder that even after separation from the structural confines of polygamy, parental influence and emotional investment remain significant, underscoring the enduring complexity of parent-child relationships. The emotional landscape here is nuanced, revealing the subtle ways in which parental identity is continually negotiated in response to evolving circumstances. Robyn Brown's repeated use of the phrase "your children" is particularly revealing, offering insight into her long-held perspectives on familial boundaries. It signals a delineation between her biological children and those outside her immediate maternal domain, a distinction that shapes both household practices and emotional engagement. Everyday actions, such as the requirement for older children to seek permission for seemingly ordinary tasks, as noted in the refrigerator, serve as markers of this psychological and relational distance. This pattern of selective inclusion reflects broader dynamics of authority and attention, highlighting how language and household norms can communicate underlying attitudes toward belonging, value, and recognition within a blended family structure. Cody's ongoing inability to demonstrate empathy toward his children, coupled with a persistent sense of victimhood, further compounds the emotional challenges faced by the family. His detachment and performative interactions illuminate the consequences of prioritizing self-image and pride over relational depth, demonstrating how patterns of avoidance and self-centered focus can create lasting emotional impacts on children. The experiences of Madison, Garrison, Isabel, and other children illustrate the depth of emotional struggle that can occur when parental attention is uneven or absent. Garrison's tragic death, followed by Cody's continued detached performance, exemplifies the stark contrast between public perception and private reality, highlighting the emotional costs borne by children when parental empathy is withheld. The lack of authentic engagement forces children to navigate grief, disappointment, and emotional uncertainty with minimal support, illuminating a critical point about family dynamics. The presence of a parent is not merely physical or procedural, but is profoundly relational, requiring emotional attunement, consistency, and vulnerability. This observation offers a broader educational insight for audiences, illustrating how emotional availability shapes child development and the capacity for resilience, empathy, and social adaptation. The juxtaposition of Cody and Robyn's selective engagement with the consistent nurturing observed in other members of the extended family, particularly Christine, emphasizes the enduring importance of sustained, attentive care. Christine's household demonstrates how children thrive when they are provided with an environment that prioritizes relational stability, emotional security, and authentic presence. In contrast, the performative gestures and strategic considerations that characterize Cody and Robyn's household create a backdrop where children must navigate complex social cues, implicit hierarchies, and uneven affection. This contrast highlights a broader lesson. Emotional security is cultivated through predictable, consistent, and authentic engagement rather than through the mere allocation of physical resources or the orchestration of appearances. Financial considerations, including the orchestration of real estate holdings and the strategic use of household space, intersect meaningfully with parental roles, further complicating the family narrative. The allocation of rooms, the acquisition of high-value properties, and the timing of certain gestures all point to a sophisticated calculus in which financial security, legal positioning, and public image are intertwined with familial interaction. While these actions may provide material stability, they also illustrate the risk of subordinating relational priorities to transactional or performative goals. This dynamic invites audiences to reflect on the ethical implications of combining financial strategy with parenting, and how the tension between appearance and substance can impact the emotional development of children within the household. As Truly's experiences unfold, it becomes apparent that while her immediate physical needs are being met, the emotional landscape is more complex. The differentiation in attention and care between children, the linguistic distinctions maintained by Robyn, and the calculated interactions from Cody reveal an intricate web of relationships in which emotional proximity is not always correlated with presence or resources. This observation underscores a critical insight about human development. Children are sensitive to emotional authenticity, consistency, and attention, and these factors play a significant role in shaping their psychological resilience, sense of belonging, and capacity for trust. The broader Brown family dynamics serve as a case study in the intersection of autonomy, parental responsibility, and relational strategy. McKelty's move, Christine's ongoing influence, and the calculated interactions within Cody and Robyn's household provide a nuanced view of how adult children and parents negotiate identity, influence, and emotional connection within a complex family network. The narrative illustrates that while legal structures, financial management, and performative gestures can shape appearances, they cannot replace the foundational elements of authentic caregiving, attentive presence, and emotional responsiveness. Observers are reminded that parental influence extends beyond material provision, encompassing the subtler dimensions of support, guidance, and emotional availability that contribute to holistic child development. The story of Cody and Robyn Brown, particularly as it relates to Truly and the broader family, presents lessons about the consequences of prioritizing strategy over empathy and appearance over authenticity. Emotional engagement, consistent attention, and relational investment emerge as central factors in fostering child well-being and resilience. The performative nature of certain household decisions, contrasted with the nurturing environment observed in Christine's household, reinforces the importance of intentional, conscious parenting that values depth over presentation. These patterns offer audiences an opportunity to examine their own assumptions about family dynamics, caregiving, and the balance between practical management and relational authenticity. Ultimately, the unfolding narrative is not simply about property, legal maneuvering, or televised storytelling. It is about the lived experiences of children navigating adult priorities, about the emotional consequences of selective attention, and about the broader implications for family cohesion and child development. Cody and Robyn's interactions, from property allocation to parental language, serve as a lens through which viewers can understand the complex interplay between material provision, public image, and relational depth. The story underscores the enduring significance of authenticity, empathy, and consistent presence as the defining qualities of effective parenting, highlighting the ways in which these elements foster resilience, trust, and emotional stability in children. Cody Brown and Robyn Brown have become central figures in a deeply revealing and complex family narrative unfolding on Season 20 of Sister Wives, where the sudden emergence of their daughter Truly has drawn significant attention and scrutiny. For nearly 2 decades, Truly's presence in the family was minimal and barely acknowledged, but now, in a dramatic shift, her existence is positioned at the forefront of the household, intersecting with legal, financial, and emotional considerations. The timing of this revelation, coinciding with ongoing financial and legal pressures, raises questions about the intersection of parental attention and strategic advantage. What may appear as paternal affection and maternal care is in fact layered with implications tied to property management, child support obligations, and the optics of parental responsibility. Cody, whose historical approach to his children has been marked by detachment and uneven attention, now faces a situation where acknowledging Truly can influence not only public perception but potentially financial outcomes, illustrating the complicated interplay between family dynamics and practical considerations. Robyn's participation in this narrative also reveals the nuanced ways in which attention and caregiving are allocated within the family. Her statements about ensuring adequate space for the children, while seemingly caring, align with a pattern of strategic facilitation rather than spontaneous or emotionally driven parenting. The room prepared for Truly, its placement, and the careful maintenance of appearances function as part of a broader facade in which family life is curated for public consumption, while underlying dynamics of favoritism, detachment, and performative care remain. This duality between appearance and substance reflects the long-standing structural challenges in the Brown household, where children's needs are sometimes subordinated to the optics of familial order or legal and financial strategy. The differentiation in treatment between Truly and other children underscores the importance of emotional consistency in parenting, showing how selective attention can create enduring impacts on child well-being. Adding further complexity, Mackelty Brown Padron's recent relocation to North Carolina has added a new dimension to the family's evolving story. Public reactions are divided, with some viewers interpreting her move as a bid for attention, while others recognize it as a courageous step toward independence, self-determination, and the creation of a life aligned with her own priorities. The logistical challenges of relocating with young children are significant, yet her decision underscores the rationality and necessity of prioritizing stability, emotional health, and long-term family cohesion, even if that requires geographic separation. This move illustrates a broader principle of adult children asserting autonomy while navigating enduring connections with their family of origin, demonstrating that independence and responsibility are inextricably linked, even in complex polygamous family structures. Christine Brown's response to these shifts highlights the enduring emotional resonance of parent-child relationships and the challenges of balancing personal fulfillment with attachment to children. Her desire to maintain her children clustered in Utah reflects an intuitive understanding of the emotional benefits of proximity, stability, and consistent parental engagement. Yet, observing her children forge new lives elsewhere creates inevitable tension and emotional discomfort. Christine's experience demonstrates that even after disentanglement from the constraints of polygamy, parental identity remains influenced by the choices and movements of one's children, emphasizing the subtle, ongoing negotiation of influence, guidance, and relational presence. Her perspective underscores the reality that emotional investment and oversight continue to shape family dynamics, regardless of physical separation or legal arrangements. Robyn Brown's repeated use of the phrase "your children" versus "our children" offers profound insight into her perceptions of family boundaries and inclusion. This linguistic distinction reflects a deeper relational philosophy, emphasizing selective emotional investment and delineation between biological and stepchildren or between primary and peripheral family members. Household practices, including notes on refrigerators requiring children to seek permission for certain actions, demonstrate the persistence of psychological distance and structured authority. Cody's ongoing emotional detachment and lack of empathetic engagement with his children magnify these challenges, highlighting the potential consequences of prioritizing self-image, pride, and control over relational depth and emotional attunement. The children in turn navigate a landscape where affection is inconsistent, recognition is conditional, and relational trust must be carefully calibrated. The profound effects on children such as Madison, Garrison, Isabel, and others reveal the depth of emotional strain that arises when parental attention is inconsistent or absent. Garrison's tragic death, followed by Cody's continued detached performance, exemplifies the harsh realities faced by children navigating loss and grief without a fully engaged or empathetic parental presence. The discrepancy between public perception and private reality becomes starkly evident, showing how performative gestures cannot replace the foundational need for authentic emotional support. This dynamic serves as a vital lesson for audiences. Genuine parenting requires more than the fulfillment of material needs. It necessitates consistent emotional availability, empathy, and attuned presence. These experiences illustrate how relational quality profoundly impacts child development, shaping resilience, identity formation, and long-term emotional stability. Financial and logistical considerations further intersect with these relational dynamics. The acquisition of properties, room allocations, and orchestrated living arrangements illustrate a sophisticated strategic approach to household management, blending considerations of security, legal positioning, and public image. While these actions may provide stability and comfort, they cannot substitute for relational depth or authentic caregiving. The contrast between material provision and emotional engagement demonstrates the limitations of relying solely on resources or appearances to ensure well-being, emphasizing the centrality of consistent care, attention, and relational authenticity in child development and family cohesion. Truly's experience within the household encapsulates the intersection of these dynamics. While her physical needs are addressed, her emotional landscape is shaped by performative gestures, selective attention, and calculated interactions from both Cody and Robyn. This experience underscores the importance of authenticity, continuity, and emotional attunement in nurturing resilient, confident children. Observers are reminded that children are acutely perceptive to relational cues, emotional authenticity, and the consistency of caregiving, which collectively shape their ability to form secure attachments and develop a strong sense of self. The broader Brown family context provides an illustrative case study of autonomy, parental responsibility, and relational strategy. McKelty's independent choices, Christine's ongoing influence, and the performative parenting within Cody and Robyn's household highlight the complex negotiation of identity, authority, and connection in modern family networks. While legal and financial strategies may shape appearances, they cannot replace the essential elements of authentic presence, empathy, and relational responsiveness. This narrative reinforces the principle that parental influence encompasses more than material provision. It extends to emotional guidance, relational consistency, and attuned presence that nurture a child's development holistically. Ultimately, the story of Cody and Robyn Brown, particularly in relation to Truly and the broader family, highlights the consequences of prioritizing strategy over empathy, optics over authenticity, and performance over genuine connection. It serves as a cautionary tale and an educational insight for viewers, illustrating that effective parenting requires intentional, emotionally engaged, and consistent practices. Material wealth, physical space, and public image, while significant, are insufficient to foster the depth of connection and emotional resilience necessary for healthy family life. The comparison with Christine's household further illuminates the transformative impact of authentic caregiving, attentive engagement, and emotionally rich interactions. Cody Brown's narrative is a poignant reflection on loss, consequence, and the enduring impact of parental choices. He has not merely lost a child in garrison, but experiences the broader loss of relational cohesion and trust within his family, a reality compounded by his inability to fully comprehend the consequences of his own actions. Robyn and Cody's interactions with Truly, the contrast with Christine's household, and the ongoing patterns of selective engagement underscore the intricate, sometimes painful realities of family life, where love and attention are unevenly distributed. This story illustrates that family is not defined solely by structures, homes, or wealth, but by the presence of connection, empathy, and sustained, attentive caregiving. It teaches that parenthood is fundamentally relational, requiring the investment of time, emotional energy, and responsiveness to the needs of children, and that the consequences of neglecting these responsibilities reverberate profoundly across generations. In conclusion, Cody Brown and Robyn Brown's family narrative offers audiences a deeply instructive, emotionally resonant exploration of what constitutes genuine family life. It underscores that authentic presence, empathic engagement, and relational consistency are the pillars of effective parenting. The story of Truly, the broader family dynamics, and the calculated interactions within the household collectively offer lessons about the limits of performance, the significance of emotional authenticity, and the vital role of consistent, caring relationships. Ultimately, Season 20 of Sister Wives reminds viewers that the essence of family lies not in property, appearances, or orchestrated performances, but in the tangible, lived experience of love, connection, and the daily practice of presence and responsibility. Real family is built not by walls or possessions, but through intentional attention, empathy, and heartfelt engagement, illustrating that the deepest bonds are those nurtured through authentic care, shared experiences, and unwavering commitment to the emotional well-being of children. Cody Brown's story and the broader family context leaves audiences with a reflective understanding of the challenges inherent in modern, complex family structures. It illustrates the enduring value of emotional attunement, relational consistency, and authentic parental involvement. The experiences of Truly and the other children highlight the profound effects of selective engagement, and viewers are invited to consider how deliberate, empathic, and attentive caregiving shapes resilience, identity, and long-term emotional stability. The narrative demonstrates that while material resources, public perception, and orchestrated appearances can influence the surface of family life, they are insufficient substitutes for the depth, reliability, and authenticity of meaningful parental relationships. Through this lens, Season 20 of Sister Wives provides a comprehensive, thought-provoking exploration of the consequences, lessons, and emotional realities of modern parenting, offering a balanced, reflective, and ultimately educational perspective on what it means to nurture, protect, and truly care for the next generation. Thanks for watching.